The most popular Security Breach DLC concept at the moment seems to be the Choose Your Guardian DLC. The idea behind it, brought to us by Reddit user space_bear87, was that you'd play through the story of Security Breach again, but this time choose which animatronic would come and defend you, potentially instead of Glamrock Freddy. While most of the game would remain the same if you were in Monty, with the mechanics of hiding inside the chest anyway, I'm sure that there would have been some issues if it came to Roxy or Chica, which would result in them having to carry you on her back, or maybe something else, more on that later. It was also suggested that that could be a way to make the animatronics faster, but you wouldn't be safe from other animatronics. But how do you, that's right, you think that these characters would work if they were actually put into the game? That's what we're exploring in today's list of the top 10 scary FNAF fan additions to the Choose Your Guardian DLC. Let's do it. Just keep in mind that this DLC still isn't actually happening officially, just saying. And at 10, non-canon. A lot of people were suggesting a simple fix that would have all of this make sense, and it would be just to make the DLC non-canon. And honestly, I don't think that that's even possible. Even if expressly stated that it was non-canon, after the last DLC claimed that it was nothing more than a festive holiday-themed add-on with no hidden intent or purpose, and then giving us a whole load of hints towards the next game, none of us would trust Steelwool or Scott when they said that. No matter what, okay, we would still consider the DLC probably canon. And maybe that's something that we could actually deal with, since after all there is only one true ending to the game, assuming this doesn't take place before or after the story and we still play as Gregory in the game. So maybe this would actually still be possible, but any endings we end up getting wouldn't be the true ending still, and maybe the true ending would be impossible to get without Freddy. I mean, we could just play through the game until 6 AM and then be forced to leave and not have the option to stay. And at 9, new kid. The DLC could easily be explained away by making us play as a new kid who ends up getting stuck in the Pizzaplex for another reason, which would also explain why we aren't being protected by Freddy, who at this point would have run away with Gregory. They could have rebuilt Roxy's Raceway or maybe just have it off limits, and we could play through again using another character as our guardian, at least if they wanted to keep it canon. It would also show us that what Gregory fell into was intended on being a trap, hence maybe why Vanessa was sus of Freddy, but then after he gets out of parts and service, she doesn't dismantle him again, since that would make Gregory trust him. This could have been how all the children went missing, and this would have shown us that, but Gregory was the first one to make it out alive. This idea came from YouTube user Dank Meme in the comments of the Choose Your Guardian video, and that's where most of these ideas actually do come from, but if they're suggested by multiple people, I can't really show all of the comments, but from what I saw, Dank was the only one who suggested a new kid in a rebuilt pizzeria. And at 8, Sun and Moon. Multiple people were also saying that if this was a thing, they would want the sun or moon animatronic to protect them, which is just a whole new level of trauma. Like, that thing needs like a talking to by Chris Hansen or something, cause it's a creepy, like the fact that he will actively pick this 4-year-old sized kid out of a ball pit and then keep dragging you back to the same spot so you can't leave him is just a whole new level of crazy. Like, I get that he's an animatronic and he's not really capable of being a pedal bear, but like, come on. You have to admit, this guy has some creeper vibes, and I'm not talking creeper aw man vibes, I mean like prison predator vibes. Like, why would you want this thing to protect you? I guess we have to protect our investments, but like in this context, that's absolutely terrifying. Plus, Sun and Moon doesn't really have a reason to leave the daycare, and when they're in their moon form, they just want to put you back to bed. Okay, damn, I didn't actually realize how really creepy this thing was. I mean, like, his first words are naughty, naughty boy. So it should have been a dead giveaway. And at 7, Bonnie Bowl Battle. I mentioned last time how Freddy doesn't really have a section for a boss fight, since most of the Pizzaplex is named after other characters. Roxy's Raceway, Chica's Mazercise, Monty Golf, etc. But a few commenters had the idea that maybe Freddy could have his boss battle inside of Bonnie Bowl. I'm guessing because he was mourning the loss of Bonnie. I mean, it would kind of make sense, but the bowling alley doesn't really have much of a boss arena vibe. It doesn't really have the ability to house a boss battle, seemingly. Like with Monty, the boss battle made sense, at least in FNAF's way of making sense, but Freddy in a bowling alley? How are we gonna stop him like that? Get him to step on a bowling ball and fall backwards? I mean, it took Monty falling off a catwalk and getting smacked in the face by by a giant bucket for him to actually get destroyed. So how would a bowling alley with no net full of hanging bowling balls actually be able to help us beat him? I don't know. It's a nice idea, and I like the thought process as like an homage to Bonnie, but I unfortunately don't think it would work. And at 6, disguised. YouTube user Canis Rufus Lupus I like that name. YouTube user Canis Rufus Lupus suggested in the comments that instead of hiding inside the animatronics or riding on their shoulders, that instead Roxy and Chica could throw disguises over us in an effort to conceal our identity. As they put it, quote, "My suggestion was that Gregory would follow closely behind Chica or Roxy in disguise when you're controlling them. Chica would toss a cupcake blanket over the boy's head with eye holes, while Roxy would stuff the boy into a giant foam finger that says you're number 1. The security robots would be blind to him," which I think it's actually a really interesting idea, and that would certainly make for some hilarious moments. Like, imagine Roxy lifting up the cupcake blanket randomly while you're just like chilling with Chica, and then boom, you're done for. But also, this would kind of defeat the whole like power mechanic that they added to kind of nerf the whole glamrock mech thing in the first place. So I unfortunately don't think that they would go with this seemingly absolutely amazingly hilarious idea. But good thinking, Canis. I'm proud of you. That's outside the box. I like it. Halfway through, in at number 5, Guardian Vanessa. The idea that Vanessa could be your guardian is interesting, but considering how she is also the main antagonist, you'd be left alone for various parts of the game, which I mean is already the case with Freddy since he can't enter places like the West Arcade. But since, thanks to the CDs at the end of the game, we know that Vanessa knows there's something going on with her and that she knows Glitch Trap is watching, I don't really think that she'd try and help us in any scenario. Like, hell, if she was really trying to do her job, she would have opened the gate at the beginning of the game and then went on the intercom to tell us to get the f out. Plus, she locks us in the lost and found room or security room or whatever it is, knowing full well that her other half could take over at any moment and come after us. And look what it does. It takes over her and comes after us. She also says that she called the cops, but she clearly didn't. So I don't think Vanessa would be down to help us, unless she was doing it to try to be selfless when she's being controlled, but even if she was, Afton could take over and then just grab you instantly, so. And at 4, Custom Night. An idea brought to us by commenter Barbarian Goose. Quote, "If anything, Steel Wool should add a custom night where you choose your guardian as like a little fan service with the main DLC. And I think that this could be a good idea. Not making the DLC revolve around that, but maybe making a small section where you play as another animatronic guardian. Or, but maybe they each get you out before the doors close at 12, or something similar so it wasn't the full game again, because if it is the full game, it's not a small section. Because if we're being honest, like having to do this again for the whole game would be an absolute nightmare, and they already released the main game unfinished. So I think that a small section of story without the open world thing would be a nice way for fans to understand what would happen to the story if the various characters were our guardians instead of Freddy. Or maybe even as like a nightmare segment or something. Like if you choose to leave the Pizzaplex at the end, instead of just getting killed by Vanny, we'd also have a nightmare about if one of the other animatronics was guarding us. Maybe an unplayable cutscene or a small playable section, just to make the fans who want this idea to happen happy. But again, it would increase the whole Gregory riding Foxy art just a little too much in my eyes. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Phaser Blast Battle. While some people were saying that Freddy's boss battle would be at Bonnie Bowl, others suggested a battle at Phaser Blast. There, you happy I said it right for once, but I like saying Phaser, so leave me alone. Which does kind of make sense, since it's seemingly the only location aside from the Pizzaplex itself to really be connected to Freddy directly. And while you do have to go there for the story as well, I guess it's possible that they add a boss battle in here instead of playing the normal Phaser Blast game. Like, you know, like how they had it when like Chica was running through there, but instead this time it could be Freddy and we had to handle him. It wouldn't be as awesome of a fight as Freddy would really deserve, but it would kind of make sense given that it would really feel like the animatronics were trying to stop you. But it would really make one section of the game easier, just like if this battle was in Bonnie Bowl. Since we have to go here for the story, getting the Phaz camera would just be easier in the long run, since it doesn't end up in a boss battle. In my opinion though, the Phaser Blaster is better, so maybe it would be a way to balance the game easier. And at number 2, character endings. I feel like the concept of additional endings was already obvious, but I did see multiple comments suggesting character-specific endings, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, in the end, there would still only be one canon ending, so maybe this kind of DLC wouldn't really do much harm. But with everyone reading into everything so much, I still think that this would cause more problems than it solves, like I said earlier. However, the character's specific endings, while not being the canon ending, could help provide more insight into the canon of the actual story. Like if Monty's ending revealed a bit about what happened to Bonnie, or if Roxy ends up breaking down emotionally or something. I don't know how she contributes to the main story. And I think that Chica's ending would just be her getting all the pizza of her dreams. And of course, having me by her side, the man of her dreams. I don't know why all of you are suddenly like so for Roxy, but Chica's my main girl. And I'm not letting anyone take that away. Not even you, narrator, alright? You guys can have the self-centered, egocentric Roxy, because that's not the Afton virus doing that. That's just the personality of the animatronic. So you can deal with someone who loves the mirror more than they love you, and I'll be with someone who loves pizza just as much as I do. It's called priorities, okay? And finally, in at number 1, Roxy's hair. Now, an overwhelming amount of comments were saying that Gregory could hide in Roxy's hair instead of chilling on her shoulders. But they didn't know how he would hide in Chica. So I figured it was a worthy number 1 spot. I mean, like, Roxy does have long hair, right? Well, yes, but the thing is, I see multiple issues with this that just make this idea seemingly impossible to me. Firstly, if Roxy's hair is meant to be like actual flowing hair and strands in universe, there would be nothing for Gregory to really hold on to unless he was holding onto her neck or something, which would be an interesting mechanic, since if you're around the other animatronics for too long, maybe they'd see Gregory's arms or feet poking out from behind you. But also, have you ever had hair in your face? Whether it's dog, a significant other, your own, having hair in your face is one of like the worst feelings ever, especially if it's unwanted. And Gregory wouldn't want that, assuming that he isn't simping for Roxy like all of you nasty motherfuckers are in the comments, okay? Y'all are simping harder than Will Smith. That's all if her hair was actual individual strands, but looking at the gameplay, it doesn't seem to be. It's multiple different seemingly plastic long triangles that end up making up her hair, and I doubt that you'd be able to climb inside that without cutting yourself up more than Afton in a spring lock suit. So unless they just didn't want to simulate Roxy's hair physics, I don't think that this is possible. Unless you are all saying this because it's like a kink thing, which is unfortunately very possible. That's all the time we have for today, friends. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been, and shall remain, Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video. I need to end this for my own sanity.